So this is a game that I'm playing in survival mode, and that's the one you should be playing in. That's the proper Subnautica experience, because this is a survival game. No, wait, don't go. I too am like you. I cannot stand survival games. There's a reason for that. I think it's because they feel quite aimless to me. They often don't have storylines. They are full of other people, other human beings, which is the worst thing. You know, you've got someone going around with their cheap microphone screaming in your ear, killing the immersion. I don't like them. They're also grindy, and I think of all the things survival games do that this one does, I think that's the one that sort of leaks over. This is grindy, of course, because when you've got games with crafting in, where you have to build specific objects to progress, you're always going to have a bit of that grind. So at the end of Subnautica, which I've only just completed a month or so ago, yeah, so I played that through, and towards the end, after a good 30 hours, I was using console commands to gather resources and even build certain things because I just could not be asked to grind to get them anymore, to search them out. But anyway, this is a survival game that does those other things better, I think, because it doesn't feel aimless. At least Subnautica didn't, because it had a story, and the story helped you progress through the game. Like, it would send you to different locations where you'd find new resources, and so you could craft new items. It was linear in a way. I mean, you could go wherever you wanted from the off, but the story led you to the areas you really needed to go to. It was well done. Silent protagonist as well. You basically had a one-way radio that you built at a certain point, and yeah, it didn't have those features. It didn't have the aimlessness, and you were on your own, and that's a very important part of the Subnautica feel, the isolation. So with that lack of isolation from the fact that you've got this voiced protagonist, you've got other people around. I mean, just after your base gets wrecked, I assume it's your sister, she asks you if you want a rescue ship sending, which is just a great way to kill some of the tension and the sense of urgency you had in Subnautica, and just my incentive as a player, and the player character's incentive. They need to get off the planet. Like, what is the incentive here, really? We've got a space station above. Why can't you just send me down the objects I need? The hand tool fabricator, the scanner. I mean, she sends a little life pod down, but there was a reason that was dropped down in Subnautica. It fired out of your crashing ship. I mean, she could send me all the other stuff, I would have thought. You know, give me a submarine, give me a prawn suit, or just the item that lets you build vehicles. You know, drop some resources down. I don't understand why I'm scavenging for data banks, and why there are even parts on the ocean floor, because there were parts in the original game, because like I said, they came out of your smashed ship. Why are they here? Is there going to be another backstory about some ship that had crashed before, like there was in the original Subnautica? I don't know. I mean, it just, to me, is some of that incentives, like, if you can be rescued at any point and you're not trapped, like, what's the rush? Why should I bother exploring, building? I guess these are research scientists, but why is there just one of you? That's stupid. I mean, it does seem to be like you're searching for another scientist. But, you know, scientists don't do that. They would either send to another planet, they'd probably send robots first, but if you'd have a team, you wouldn't just have one, like, Ray Mears type survival expert. Why would this person do that? Why would they risk their life? It's silly, it's stupid. I mean, just why bother? Why bother exploring and building? Why build a base? Why can't you just send me down all the resources I need? That might seem like a little thing, but it's kind of immersion ruining, and this game, Subnautica at least, was very atmospheric. It was all about the atmosphere, that feeling of isolation, which this is lost. Also the fear factor as well. I think it's lost the fear factor a bit by having someone nattering in your ear and having a jokey, ha ha ha, funny protagonist. Subnautica was a frightening game. If you haven't played it, I don't know how I can describe it, but just imagine when you're in the ocean. I've mentioned earlier about having this weight of water. I mean, all you've got between you and death, if you're deep down, especially in the game, all you've got is something man-made, probably, like a submarine. That is fragile, that could break. When it breaks, you are screwed. You will be desperate to get out of there. I mean, when you die, you do just respawn and lose some items, but that doesn't make it any less scary. And just the unknown, what's out there. Often you can't see very far in front of you. The sound effects on the animals and creatures are pretty excellent. They were in Subnautica anyway. So it's the unknown. You hear this noise, you think, what is it? Especially when you're deep down, it's frightening. You explore this game, and I hate always bringing up Dark Souls, but sometimes you explore it like Dark Souls. You're very cautious. You check every corner, you want to find new resources, but you don't want to just drive out there, I guess swim out there, because it's terrifying. And yeah, it does that really well. That sense, it's just a very atmospheric game. The nice music, just the limited sound, but the quality sound effects as well. I think having voice protagonists will ruin that a bit. It will ruin the fear, it will ruin that isolation. Just the atmosphere will be gone a bit. Having like a jokey shepherd type character, I'm just not a fan. And that was one of the biggest strengths of Subnautica. So let's wrap up, because I've been going on for ages about this game. But it's because I like Subnautica so much. I'd say it's one of my games of 2018. Possibly even my game of 2018. But yeah, having all this similar stuff. Even the fauna is the same in large parts, maybe with different colours, which, you know, brings me to the whole, is it just the like skin job of Subnautica, which is not what I wanted, especially if you've killed a bit of the atmosphere and the tension as well, by making it a more story-driven, voice-acted game. So Subnautica was in early access for about 3 years, I think. It came out in 2015 on early access and was finally released back in 2018. And I don't think I would have bought it if it wasn't offered for free on Epic Games Store, so I thought I'd buy this one because I enjoyed that so much. But expect the performance to be bad on this one, not just because of my potato PC, but because it was quite a buggy game anyway. Subnautica, despite all the time they had, they didn't optimize it too well, and there was still bugs even when I was playing. I fell through the map 1 or 2 times, so I hope they fix all that, and I hope they get a better frame rate this time, because it is a good looking game, but it's not the best looking game. But we've got alien stuff again in the story, because the Subnautica aliens had visited the planet, I guess to study the life forms on the planet, because it's very biodiverse, this planet, and I'm really hoping for more story. I kind of didn't want it to take place on the same planet, because to me that would always feel like just a sort of reskin of Subnautica. I had this thing in my head of it taking place on, say, a moon of somewhere like, not Jupiter, but, you know, a gas giant with, say, an ice moon, because you could do a similar thing there, except you'd have the worry of space and the ocean below, because both are scary. I do know this is in early access, so I'm willing to give it a chance. I will play it. I think they say it's going to be in early access for about a year, but that could obviously change. The other game, as I said earlier, was in early access for quite a while. So can they do more in that time? Can they alleviate my problems? Probably not all of them. But your mileage may vary. If you just want more Subnautica, then this is perfect for you, because that's what it is. It's more Subnautica, but in a slightly different environment. Hopefully with the environmental effects that we saw with the avalanche. I would like to see that. You've got weather effects mentioned as well. There's a storm at the start that causes that avalanche. It can make the game world feel slightly different. It could provide new challenges, new gameplay to tackle these environmental effects. Maybe you build new items or vehicles to deal with that stuff. Just weather effects would be cool as well. Maybe they could affect the fauna or flora in different ways as well. So maybe different animals could come out in certain weather types. I always felt it was a bit weird that you were playing on this, essentially a water planet, with a huge moon above you, and there's no waves or anything. It's just completely flat. I mean, they might be really hard to implement, and because you were below the water for the whole game, pretty much, there was some land. Yes, it was kind of pointless, but it just would have been nice. Maybe it would have made the game run even worse, to be honest, but that would be nice to see. I think one of my main issues, though, really is, well, it's the voice protagonist, which kind of ruins the atmosphere a bit, and it's the fact that you're doing the same things over and over again. it might make me not want to play it as much, but I could leave it a year because I don't like the early access experience, so I'm quite willing to leave this until it's in full release and then just play it. So hopefully they'll have made the beginning feel a bit different, because it feels at the moment like you're set back. Say you're playing an RPG and you play the sequel, it's like going back to level 1 almost. And they tease you with the base at the start as well. They give you this base with all this nice stuff, and then they go, oh no, you're done now, you're back to collecting things to make a bloody sea glide again and to make some flippers. The things aren't even called a different thing. You're not even having different items because you're in a different environment, like cold items, things for Arctic exploration. I mean, I know your suit is ridiculous, it can survive any pressure, but you know, it's sci-fi future suit, so it would just be nice to maybe start off with a bit more and then have to, you know, they'd have to introduce more items and things. We'll see. I'm slightly worried that the start is going to be as it is now, and they're just going to add more to the story later on and more biomes. But that is, again, one of the pluses of this game. It's the exploration. The exploration is fantastic. I mean, I'd say almost, it's like Bethesda at their best. Pre-Fallout 76, of course. New Vegas, even. Like, what is over the horizon? There's something appealing about ocean environments, because like the moon, we have barely explored the deep oceans on our planet. We know more about the surface of the moon, so exploring the oceans is incredibly interesting. You don't know what's down and you don't know what's forward. There's this vast bit of water stretching out before you and below you. It's terrifying and fascinating, so I can't wait to explore this, although not so much as with Subnautica, because it doesn't feel as fresh. So as to recommending this now, I would say no. Especially if you've just played Subnautica. I don't think there's enough new here to really be that appealing. I mean, there's the cute penguins and, you know, there's ice, but it doesn't appear to have any effect on the gameplay really, except you can hop about on it when you're not clipping through it. So I wouldn't get this yet, even though it's only about 15 quid. Unless you're the kind of person that does early access, likes the early access experience. I don't know why you would, but, you know, each their own. I am going to leave this now. It's not bad, it's just a bit familiar for me, who's just played Subnautica. So we'll see what it's like in a year. Maybe I'll come back to it if I'm still doing this. But anyway, I will see you next time. Keep frosty.
30 seconds.